Therapist will go about. The levels of assistance the person requires is assessed formally. So independent, the person is able to do everything on their own. Supervision, they only require supervision. Like if at all there is a fall or there is a tendency to fall, somebody is there to stand by. So most of the time you don't have to touch the patient. Standby assistance is many people with brain injuries and all who have recovered kind of, but not able to correctly get that sequence or not able to do it exactly how we want in a safe manner. So a standby, no physical assistance, but you're just giving some verbal cues. Good, okay, you've stood now. Now go a little bit to the right, or something like that, just verbal cues. Contact guard assistance is maybe you have to touch and tell that, okay, don't move this side, don't move that side. And I recently had the person is like with brain injury. He's completely recovered, good motor recovery, he's able to stand up, he's able to walk, but there is a table here, he doesn't bother him, he'll just stand, come here and stand there. So I got to tell him, okay, move to the left. He is able to understand simple commands, but not yet able to understand complex sentences. On his own, he is not able to traverse and go. So then, you need, if you just touch him also, he'll know, okay, you just have to move to the side. So that is contact guard. Then, they actually require assistance, minimal, moderate or max. So minimal assistance, they do more than 75% of the task. Moderate assistance, they are only able to do around 50% of the task. So the therapist or the caregiver has to do the rest of the 50%. Maximum assistance, when the person is able to do only between 0 to 25% of the task. So most weight is borne actually by either by the therapist or the caregiver in transferring. And dependent person is not participating at all. Right. And we see a lot of people in the dependent category. Right now, because I'm at Amala Medical College, which is like a tertiary care hospital and also a cancer research center. So a lot of elderly, a lot of people with dementia, Alzheimer's, all this category of patients totally dependent in care. So that's a huge area. Now, those who are dependent, definitely we would be able to prescribe an assistive technology device, definitely indicated. Moderate and maximum assistance, it's good to use an AD, good to use. The reality being, people don't use it. So the people who require moderate to maximum assistance, 50 to 75% of that transfer, like transferring this person's weight from the bed onto the wheelchair is actually done by the caregiver or by the therapist or the nurse, whoever. So other types of transfers, like a person may be independent with a device, like with a transfer board. So independent may be with or without a device. So any other form of transfer may be with or without a device. So sometimes people hold on to their walkers and stand. So that particular kind of transfer, they will stand up with the walker, then sit to a wheelchair with a walker. So that is also considered as a device. So there are other techniques like sit to stand, stand pivot, stand step. These are all techniques used by the OTs. So a whole discussion of how they do independent transfers is truly beyond the scope, and I do not have an occupational therapist in my team to demonstrate these, but these are all taught to the patient and the caregiver. So in a rehabilitation team, ideally all staff will learn these techniques so that they safely transfer the person without injuring themselves and the patient. The risks. Are there any risks of these physical transfers? Definitely. There can be falls. You're lifting a person, you're not holding right, the person falls back to the bed. If it is to the bed, it's fine, but most of the time they hit on the railing, they are hitting somewhere else, they are falling onto the floor. So all these complications happens all the time. Injuries to patients. Injuries to caregivers. Most of the nurses earlier in rehab, they would hesitate to come to rehab because they know that after some time they'll develop backache. So all the overstrain injuries. So backache is a very common thing that happens to nurses, and this transferring people, they really suffer. And we know from research also that backache is one of the things that causes most absenteeism from work. So a lot of injuries to caregivers which kind of goes unnoticed. There are mothers, all children of disability, if you look at their mothers, you ask their mothers, all of them may be having mechanical back pain or something more than a mechanical back pain. And the impact on dignity. So in a public place, many times where there are no facilities for transfers, if the person is not independent in transfer, then what do? Obviously they are taken, lifted by somebody and placed onto some other surface. Because the public do not know all these transfer techniques, right? So when they are out in the public, you don't care, you don't know who is lifting you. It's a totally strange person lifting that person with disability, very close body contact, placing. So they are almost considered asexual when it comes to transfers in public, right? And they don't have any other choice, so they opt not to talk about it, probably. So a good transfer technique, a proper transfer technique will improve patient outcomes because you're reducing the injuries, you're facilitating mobility, you're reducing the complications of immobility, you're generally facilitating or encouraging a good behavior or a good healthy status. There is definitely a reduced caregiver burden or the caregiver strain and an enhanced patient experience. So, who is it really for? What is your idea? Who is it really for? Who is this transfer really for? The assistive technology helps which person? The caregiver. So it's mostly the caregiver that we are helping by providing a transfer solutions. And this is exactly the problem. Because it is not primarily for the person, it is perceived as it is to ease the caregiver. So the importance, if you prescribe a wheelchair and a transfer device, they will definitely buy the wheelchair, but they will say, we'll think about the transfer chair, right? Even though we say that it is improved patient outcome, we say there is better dignity, but then it is not really taken like that in the in the real life scenario. So, greatest respect, okay, that is the stats. There are still people who bite, especially very frail caregivers. So the caregiver is another 60-year-old or a 70-year-old who cannot lift this person. But we do have a lot of home nurses and all available in Kerala. So people may think it is better to employ another person rather than buy a device. Okay, so that is another problem with prescribing these devices or actual use of these devices. One of the patients that we have given a transfer device through a camp. So he's already using has muscular dystrophy. It's a very slow type of muscular dystrophy, so it was around 40-ish, and he has a shop around 1.5 kilometers from home. He goes in a motorized wheelchair, works at the shop and comes back. And then what happens is he has got another 4 people with disabilities at home. So it is something that happens in families. So he has to wait until one of the brothers who is not affected, so he's back by around 6 o'clock. And then he has to wait until 8 o'clock or so in that chair until his brother comes and transfers him onto the bed. So he cannot do anything until then. So he says, with this device I've given a hoist to him, and he said this is the best thing that happened to me because the brother's son, who was in the 3rd, 4th standard or so, could transfer him onto the bed, so he didn't have to wait that long. So that is the impact. Even a child or anybody who can operate a remote, who has got good cognition, may be able to use a transfer device. Okay. So these are the common occupational therapy scenarios. They'll teach them how to go in and out of bed, in and out of a wheelchair, in and out of a chair or a sofa, on and off a toilet or a commode, bath chair, 4-wheel walker, a car transfer, or off the ground. Even therapists even teach people, like in case of a fall, how to get up from the floor and be back onto the wheelchair. So I already discussed this, that we will always attempt to achieve independence. And what do we do in assessments? It's a comprehensive assessment. We'll assess all aspects of that person, including social, vocational, educational areas, go into detail about recreation, about their interests, hobbies. So specifically with regards to transfer, we need to know their mobility and how they will do in future, the prognosis, the strength or the strength of the extremities, balance of the extremities, whole body balance, sitting or standing, cognitive abilities, and any specific medical conditions or considerations. So specifically with regards to transfer. Also, many of these people may have catheters, feeding tubes, etc., which need to be taken care of. So if they are not secured before a transfer, again, injury, what we talked about. So these are types of injuries that always happens. People generally kind of mistake. So we have even set guidelines on how to fix a catheter, how to fix a feeding tube before a transfer, but then many a times it is missed. So all these things need to be taught to a person, to a caregiver. And the setting where the transfer is going to be done, whether it is a rehab center versus home, and also the caregiver's medical condition or the general well-being, the physical condition. Right, so there are techniques. I'm not going into the details of how they transfer. We are now coming to the workshop topic of what are the devices that we use for transfer. So there are transfer boards. We have one here, right? Can you just show? So the transfer boards, I've got something which is not commonly used. Usually it's a rectangular board. So I now have here an S-shaped board. We'll just have you go through that. There are slings, there are gait belts, there are mechanical chairs, and there are patient lifts or hoists. So these are called as positioning sheets. These are not technically a transfer device. It can only be used if used by two people to transfer a patient onto a stretcher, a person onto a stretcher. But these are positioning sheets, really good for lifting, turning, repositioning, etc. Makes it easier. I always advise to get a height adjustable chair for persons with disabilities, or if they need assistance with transfer. That will again reduce the caregiver burden, also give them max independence. These are various, the first thing that you see, transfer board with the transfer disc. So that disc can move from one place to the other. So when the person is sitting, you slide the board under the person, like under the buttocks, and the person is kind of placed on the disc, and the disc can move to the chair. These are the traditional transfer boards that we use, and transfer belts and the discs. We don't use them commonly in our practice. We use transfer board very frequently, but not the discs or the belts. And how you position the transfer board, the wheelchair board, the positioning of both is important. And the person has to have an adequate upper extremity strength and balance to transfer. Right, mechanical transfer devices are, come in various sizes, shapes. We'll have one. If it comes in time, we'll talk about it. This is the one manufactured by Disabilities. There are devices called standing and raising assists. So we use them both as therapy devices and transfer devices, mainly used in therapy to assist person come to a standing position and then move in that particular position. It's called SARA. So this is what you see on the left is the SARA study from Arjo Huntley. Okay. And the motorized transfer device, or called also as hoists or as Hoyer lifts. So it has got a U-shaped base, an overhead bar and a sling that work together to lift, reposition and to lower patient onto a bed, chair, wherever. Right, we'll have this for hands up. So that is the this one here. You may also have other designs of similar Hoyer lifts. So it can be a bar, a big U-frame or a 3-shaped frame. You can fix it, you keep wheels at the base and you make it portable, right? I kind of like this option where I can combine it with just by giving an additional sling, I can make it a walking frame. or a support for supported walking, somebody can just assist. So I also can give an additional feature of therapy or supported standing or supported walking with it. Ceiling lifts are available. So this is again shown from Arju Handle. It's being installed, it is already installed in a few centers in Kerala. We have it at an IPMR, we have it at many private hospitals. So it's a bar, it's a ceiling installed tracks which can connect. It may even go all the way into the toilet, and you use an appropriate attachment. It can have, so both this, wherever you want, you can customize it. You may have supine lift, you lift the person in the lying position only. You may have supine to sit lift, that you make, as you are lifting, you bring the person into a sitting position and then transfer. And if with another jacket, if you use a jacket like the one on the con on the down part, then you can give walking also. Right? That's a ceiling lift. Okay, so safety is definitely important. Top priority will be safety. Fall prevention strategies, non-slip surfaces, etc. Gate belts, technically we don't use them like gate belt, but we will definitely have person secured if they are being trained. And of course, proper training, teamwork and communication, use of safety straps and harnesses when applicable. Definitely dignity and comfort is possible when you use these devices, and the comfort. So we do in the rehab centers, I kind of demonstrate, we show them what it is prior to being tried, or you use it on a different person who's already using it before trying it on this person. Many people who use a hoist for the first time and they are in that sling, there is this unstable feeling that they feel as if they are hanging from above, and that is very uncomfortable for some of the patients. So if they see another person being transferred prior to them being transferred, it is easier. Some people just say, oh, I'm scared and I don't want to use it. Okay, so it's important to comfort them or explain, reassure, and discuss the techniques and strategies to protect their privacy and also minimize discomfort. Like application of the sling, many people will find it difficult, especially ladies, like the sling going under their thighs onto the device may be uncomfortable, so you've got to explain and what is intended. Alright, so enough of talking, right? So can we move on, Chirag? Can we see? Okay, so all of us, maybe we can get up, whoever wants to try can try. Since we don't have anyone with a disability here, I don't want to try it first on him, so we will have somebody being transferred. So I see many mothers who are like 71 transferring their child who is 41 with a disability. They're taking care of these people, and they continue to do. How they were carrying at 4, 5, 6, 7 years, they still carry at 25, 30, 40 years. So that's something we can change. Can everybody see? Or we may just
with this device we can transfer a patient or a person from bed. Yeah. With this device we can transfer a person from bed or from chair to the destination. Actually, this product is electrically operated and it's with the battery backup, so that the bystander don't have to apply any physical force. You just need to lift it with the help of a switch. You can lift it and you can move it to the required location. I'll just give you a demo.
So he'll just give a demo. So that is from a sitting positions, from a chair to chair, what we are going to do now. Okay. So So that is the sling. So the shape of the sling. This is for a person who has a head control. So the head is not supported in this. So we are assuming the person. So this device is actually on display at the Museum of Possibilities. We've just got it from there till here. So you may see, like those of you who cannot see may stand up. So actually you may act as if your legs are paralyzed. So you can just placing the straps under the thigh, and he has crossed it. Okay. So the lower two straps you saw hanging down, he just crossed the straps. Okay, advancing the device. So there is a spreader bar. This is the U-shaped base. Yeah, so the spreading, can you just show how, so the lower bars may be spread so that it can, so this chair is very small. So even without much spreading, it can go as close to the person as possible. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so the spreading of the base, now he has used a mechanical operation, it could be electric as well. So this is mechanical to reduce the cost. Then you have to lock the device. Have you locked the device?
Yeah.
Okay, before the lifting, or now it's okay? Not to, yeah. So before the lifting, he has to lock the transfer chair, and so he is now putting the loop. So this is the most important step I feel personally in lifting, because which strap comes there. So there are different holes. So there are different levels that you can use. There is one hole here, there's another hole here, there's another one here. So depending on the person's height, and which one is the second one?
Yeah.
The second one. So both at the same level.
And should be symmetric.
And should be symmetric. Otherwise the person will go tilted, right? Yeah. So he has locked the hoist, and can you show the remote?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just up and down buttons, that's all. So everybody, yeah, so shall I?
Yeah.
Okay, I need to see. Okay. Okay. So just pressing the up arrow.
Before moving further, you just need to check that all the
Yeah.
rules are followed.
Yeah. So you've not technically lifted the person yet, but you can make sure whether the alignment is correct or not, if you have put the right straps or not, right? And as you go, the person is lifted off. So this is what I said. Now they are off the chair and like hanging. So this is where some people may have a thing. Now we have kept everything stable, so it's not moving too much. But if you start moving or doing for the first time, or if it's a heavy patient, a person, so they may move here and there, and they may feel unsafe. So this is technically safe, and it can go as high, up to 6.
Customized.
Customized, yeah.
Because in the same device we can use
Yeah.
walking also.
Yeah.
With the same device, if we modify the swing, we can use the same device for walking also. So based on that, actually different height are possible. On a standard basis, it's a 6 feet high.
Okay. So this is it, and you can now can you move, so you can just put it there. If you want to take him to a separate location, like say going to the toilet, you can just unlock the wheels and move. Yeah. So this is how you may be able to move. And our chair like you now. And turn, you can turn the chair facing this side. Can you face the chair this way? Yeah. So that people may see. Okay. That chair will move. So that is again that safety concern when you are putting them onto a face, to make sure that those surfaces do not move, or if they have kind of arm power, they may be able to grab onto something. So that is, these are the things that you're going to, practically these are the problems that you face. Like, okay, fine. So he's spreading the bars there to go almost kind of, so one person will be able to do. So it's a single person transfer. Lock the device. And sometimes when they come down, the person maybe need to be standing there or guide the sling a bit and fine. So does anybody want to cross check how the slings have been crossed on the floor? Because if otherwise, they'll just slide down from that sling and they may have a fall. So now you see the hips are, the knees are bent and the hips are slightly over flexion. So he doesn't fall. Now making sure that he has good head control. So this is not touching his forehead, he is like leaning back. So if the person does not have that, our sling has to be big to support the person's head also. Like if it's a person with dementia, Alzheimer's who cannot control, so then you have to give that cover. And also when you are putting them on the bed or on the floor, you've got to guide them. And this, if this was, it's the same sling that you use for, so the sling is different for supine lifting, right?
Yes.
The sling is actually different if the person can, like you only want to transfer him that position to this position, so you have to have a different sling.
And also, if they needed a head support, it is possible.
Yeah.
This is without a head support.
Yeah, that I have already mentioned. And anything else you want to talk about? So in this, the battery allows for an emergency drop, like in case the power fails or the battery is drained out. That particular transfer can be completed with an emergency switch. Okay, so the person is not left hanging there. The transfer can be completed, it will be brought down to a level, am I correct? Okay, so the person will not be left standing there. And all these devices, they have to have an emergency measure to make sure that the person is not standing. Like if he is standing like this, it's very difficult to bring him down from that position. So electric hoists I really find very useful. I have, what I do is I use them in my training centers. When the person is going out, when they are being discharged, so we give an offer, if they want, they can buy. Those who cannot afford, what we do, do you want to talk about the cost?
Yeah.
How much does it cost?
Yeah, actually, this is an electrical type of hoist, and as already ma'am mentioned, it works on electricity. Like you can directly plug in and use it. And apart from that, there is a battery backup. And if the battery fails and if there is no power supply, there is an emergency unloading facility also. You can use it with a 9-volt battery for an emergency use. For a single use you can use it.
It's only a single use, it's only an emergency use,
Yeah.
and you cannot.
And if there is no 9-volt battery also, no problem, because this one, even if there is no power, it will be locked at the particular position. Because inside this motor there is a threaded rod, so it will be locked at that particular position itself. And coming to the cost, the price of this product, it is actually, as ma'am already mentioned, it's a customized product, and based on the customization the price may vary, but basically the price starts from 70,000 to 1 lakh. That's the basic pricing of the product.
So I generally kind of, so when I made one, ordered one for my hospital, I said I want both the sitting lift as well as a walking hoist, so that I can do training. If the person cannot come down to the physiotherapy gym, then in the ward itself we can give supported standing, supported training. So that is why what I do. Other times we send them into the patient's homes and they assess the width of the door, the height of the ceiling, their basic surfaces where they are using it, the height of the bed, the height of the chair, and where they want to use it, and accordingly they will take measurements and make problems.
Actually,
capacity.
Yeah, coming to the load capacity, this product, the standard weight load capacity is 120 kg, but if it is more, if we need a more load capacity product, we can customize it. So the basic load capacity for this product is 120 kg.
So 120. Generally, if they are higher, the patient's weight is more, then they have to give further reinforcement. Difficulties, practically what we face, takes up so much space. Even at rest, it takes up so much space, like you cannot fold it. If you have discussed that many times with them, can you make it a folding design? Then they said it will compromise the strength and basic thing. Going